Evening everyone, just another War of the Roses update video from me. So I've been working on my Neville stuff, and as all war gamers I got distracted by something and I've gone and done that, but I am carrying on with the Earl of Warwick stuff. What I got distracted by was I was looking through all my sprues and my lead mountain, my Wars of the Roses miniatures, and I came across this model, which is the promo miniature that came with the Nevermind the Billhooks. It was the Lord Callan miniature, which I'd had in the box, and I hadn't used yet, and that's because I wanted to find a Lord that I wanted to paint him up as. I didn't want to do him as a nameless one, and I wanted to find the right kind of person to do it. So as I'd already done William Herbert in one of my previous videos, I've had a look around his retainers because I really enjoyed that, doing him, and there are lots of characters around him and lots of names when I was researching him, which I liked. And the name of Roger Vaughan of Tretower Court came up, so I sort of did some more research on him. I knew some stuff about the Vaughan family already, and the Devereux family, which the Devereux, Herberts and Vaughans are all closely associated because they're all the Welsh families. They're the Yorkist side of the Welsh stuff that's going on. Anyway, I had a look at his backstory, and I also had a look at his coat of arms, which is a big thing for me when I'm actually painting a lord. And he has a very, very cool coat of arms. As you can see, when the flag comes around, it's got the lions on it, and it's red and black, which makes a change for me from painting red and blue. So I chose to paint him up as Roger Vaughan. So what I did was I'm going to take him off of here, and there we are. So I'm really pleased with how this has come out. So there he is. Now I've copied the livery off of the banner. I've copied that onto his tabard, and then he's got the guy following along, waving the flag. Now, the men on this base I've kit bashed about quite a bit. So this chap here holding the flag, I've done a complete. That banner doesn't go with that. I think it's actually that's a lance spear, long spear from one of the light horsemen. I've done a complete weapon swap on him. Perry metal at the back here in the red helmet, and then we've mixed in. I've painted a guy here just in Edward IV's livery, just because his men would have been spotted throughout the army. And to be fair, a lot of his retainers' men would have still had the Sun in Splendour on their livery jackets. Chap here in the sort of bronze golden armour, I just wanted to do a different colour to break things up. I hadn't done one in this colour for a while, so I thought, why not? This guy might have a bit of cash, or might have just taken it off of a dead guy on the continent. So yeah, there we are. So there's my base. Now, the way I use these bases is they can be used as individual command elements if I want to. I'm primarily going to be using it for my Hail Caesar games and Billhooks, Nevermind the Billhooks games. So as far as I'm concerned, this can just be 6 soldiers, 6 men at arms. I've just happened to give them a flag, and it's Sir Roger Vaughan. So if I need them to, they can represent unit commanders. If not, I'm just quite happy to field loads of flags and different coats of arms throughout my army, because these armies wouldn't have been just plate armour and just simple liveries. You'd have had loads of flags in that battle line. All of the minor knights and minor nobles would have been there with their lords, the ones who retain them, the ones who sort of give them their good lordship. And these guys wouldn't have necessarily brought a lot of people to the fight. There's records of knights bringing 1 or 2 men at arms with them and a company of archers, which could be, say, 12, 20 guys, and then they all get fed into the bigger army as a whole. So I'm going to be doing quite a few of these, and this is how I'm going to be running my Neville stuff as well, because there's loads of them. But I wanted to finish this just because of his association with William Herbert. Now, I won't go over old ground, but William Herbert, who I've got here, was the guy who was Edward's man in Wales, and these two were half brothers. And they were both at Edgecote. Unfortunately, William Herbert didn't make it out of Edgecote, but Roger Vaughan did. Anyway, what I'll do, I'll go through some of the history, as I've been doing. I hope you guys enjoy it, and then we'll just come back and I'll be chucking up some photos throughout of the models, and yeah, I'll sum up at the end. So, Roger Vaughan of Tretower Court was the son of a Welsh noblewoman, and I'm sorry if I butcher this, but Gladys Ferch Daffyd Gam, and Sir Roger Vaughan of Bredwadyn. And his father, Roger Vaughan, fought at the Battle of Agincourt in 1415, and he was part of the Welsh contingent that fought for Henry V. Now, from the records, we can see that apparently this Roger Vaughan, the younger Roger Vaughan, took part in that battle with his father. But I'll come on to this when we get towards the end. But we'll just go with the story for now. But both of them, the father and the son being the subject of this video, were at the Battle of Agincourt in 1415. Now, during that battle, apparently 16 French knights who had taken a solemn oath to do what was necessary to basically seize or get hold of Henry V actually got to him and succeeded in unhorsing the king, and they started effectively just laying into him. However, both Roger Vaughans, the elder and the younger, along with their Welsh kinsmen, managed to bring down each of the 16 knights. Now, while Henry V would ultimately meet with success in the Battle of Agincourt, the elder Roger Vaughan and a load of the others were mortally wounded, but not the younger. So he would return home. Now, Roger's mother, the aforementioned Gladys, was now a widow. So she married a man called William ap Thomas of Raglan, and then she would bear him a number of children, including William Herbert, the future first Earl of Pembroke. Now, if you haven't seen my previous video on William Herbert, I'll pop a link up in the corner so you can have a go and look at that. And she was described as, she was the Lady of Raglan Castle, and she was described by a poet as being brilliant, like the sun and a pavilion of light. I just wanted to include that quote in there because I quite liked it. It reminded me of something from Lord of the Rings. Anyway, Roger Vaughan, the younger, now the son, now the only one who's left, he was married twice. Now, his first wife died not long after his return from the Battle of Agincourt, and she was the mother of his heir, Thomas Vaughan. However, once the dynastic civil wars that we call the Wars of the Roses exploded and then plunged the country into war, the loyalties in England were generally split, as we know, between the House of Lancaster and the House of York. Now, while Roger's parents were loyal Lancastrians, his father giving his life to defend the Lancastrian king Henry V, him and his brothers would become staunch Yorkist supporters. He would basically try and secure Wales along with his half-brother, William Herbert, for Edward. He would fight at Mortimer's Cross with Edward IV in 1461, where the Lancastrians would suffer an absolutely crushing defeat. Now, apparently, after the battle, it was actually Roger Vaughan who led the captured Owen Tudor to the executioner's block in Hereford. Now, there's something a little bit sort of poetic about this, because Owen Tudor's wife was the widowed Queen of England, Catherine of Valois, who had been married to Henry V. That's the same Henry V that Roger Vaughan and his father had helped save at Agincourt. So they helped save the king, then the king died of dysentery, then his wife married Owen Tudor, and then Roger Vaughan led Owen Tudor to the executioner's block. Following the Battle of Mortimer's Cross, like his younger half-brother, to whom he was likely retained, he would work on securing Wales. And in 1465, he had a role in suppressing an uprising in Carmarthenshire. His half-brother, William Herbert, would make a gift to Roger of the fortified manor of Tretower Court. Vaughan would enlarge and remodel the house by the addition of a whole range of buildings and the addition of a hall and loads of interior detail. And this place is still there and it's stunning. So if you're in Wales and you're near this place, just go and have a look because it really is an awesome building. However, as we've covered before, Vaughan's half-brother William would eventually fall at the Battle of Edgecote, including his other half-brother as well, and one of his own brothers. Vaughan did participate in the battle, and he would just go on loyally serving the Yorkists. And on the 16th of February 1470, he was appointed the Constable of Cardigan Castle and would fight at both the Battle of Barnet against the Earl of Warwick and the Battle of Tewkesbury against Margaret of Anjou and her son. Following the Battle of Tewkesbury, Edward IV ordered Vaughan to pursue Japer Tudor, which Vaughan did with his normal diligence. However, it's here that things went really rather wrong for him. Now, while pursuing the fleeing Tudor, he was actually captured by Jasper's men and taken to the Earl. Now, Japer Tudor, perhaps remembering that this was the man that led his father to the executioner, wasted no time in ordering Vaughan to be beheaded. So Roger Vaughan was executed at Chepstow Castle in May 1471. However, his death led to more acrimonious sentiments towards the Tudors by the Vaughan and Herbert families. And we have the text from Welsh poets basically urging revenge on them. Now, that's the end of his story, but I just want to touch on his age, because if you've been following, we've been talking about Agincourt and then the Battle of Barnet and the Battle of Tewkesbury, which take place in the 1470s. So there are numerous articles saying that he was raised with his half-brothers when his mother married into the Herbert family. However, if he was at Agincourt and took an active role in the battle, he would have presumably already been in his teens by this time. So let's assume that he was, say, 16 at Agincourt, which I don't think is unreasonable. That would mean by the time of his death in 1471 that he was 72 years old. That's incredibly old, even by the standards of the day, yet we have sources saying that he was present at the battle. This also means that throughout his 60s, he was actively fighting in places like Mortimers Cross and Towton, you know, all of the main parts of the first phases of the Wars of the Roses. I have found one record that suggests a birth date of 1410, but that doesn't really explain the references to Agincourt, unless his father took his 5-year-old son into battle with him. I mean, you know, there has been some weird stuff in the medieval period, but it's worth always bringing up these discrepancies when we're talking about it, because like anything to do with history, we're limited by the sources, and like a lot of things with the Wars of the Roses, we just don't know. All you can do is compile all the information together. I personally quite like the idea of this aging knight, this lord in armour, like battling his way and eventually being taken out by skullduggery by Jasper Tudor. Can you tell that I like the Yorkists? So yeah, really, I just found him a fascinating character, and I'm really, really pleased that I've now got him in my army. So that will be probably the last edition of the Welsh contingent. I do plan on adding, say, some of the Devereux in there. However, I want to focus on the Nevilles. That was the whole plan. So I've got a big order of models that should be hopefully on their way from Perry Miniatures. I'm going to be doing lots of kit bashing. I've got some other models from some of their other ranges, which I want to mix in. Don't worry, not like Napoleonic or anything like that. Some of the other medieval, some of the European stuff from the same period. Anyway, I hope you guys found that interesting. If you did, or if you've got any questions, drop a comment below, give the video a like, and if you want more stuff like this, just let me know. I hope you guys are well and staying safe, and I'll see you guys all again soon. Cheers.